Hi, everyone else went to the pool, so it's just me and Pineapple here for y'all. So, hey, welcome to another week, Foster Commerce Summer Sprints. And this week you can just get me because I'm re-recording this, and I'm re-recording this because we had a wonderful conversation internally, well, that we were going to share with you, but it kind of went long, kind of meandered a bit. Um, I rewatched it too, and I was like, I don't know, I don't know what we're saying really. So I thought I'd just give you a summary version and to talk a little bit about some of the results of what we actually discussed with what I discussed with Michael and Derek. So sorry, Michael and Derek, cutting you out, mostly because I'm talking in that other one a lot and not really making sense. So here we are on a redo, take two. So okay, um, we are building currently this thing called a variant manager, which we're rethinking. We're not sure if it's really the right thing. So we're kind of going back to the drawing board, or not even drawing board, but like what's the main problem that why we were doing this variant manager? Like, what is it that we're trying to solve? So here's the thing. As much as craft commerce is wonderful, one of its things that's missing is kind of the central way of managing variant like options. Um, so the groups like color, blue, yellow, size, small, medium, right? Because what happens is every single developer goes in and inside of product types for commerce creates a custom field for each of those options. So let's say you sell t-shirts. Cool. I'll create a custom field for size. Put in maybe your drop-down options, right? It's all hard coded essentially into the craft config at that point. So then you have to use the product types. The way craft commerce has it set up is you have product types, you have your field sets specifically defined for that. And for the way we work and the way that we want to set up our clients, this doesn't work, because then every single time they need or they want to sell a new product line or they want to just make any changes to those options, at least in that default thinking way, they need us to a developer to come in and modify things, and maybe we got to modify the template too, and that's just not how we work. So the way we work at Foster Commerce is we want to give our clients as much content control as they can, and product data is content. So they should be able to sell whatever they want. If they're a furniture company and all of a sudden they want to sell a t-shirt for merchandise, let them do it. They shouldn't need us. It should be a store that they can put in whatever product they want. Doesn't matter. So that's where we're starting from. I am not interested in just us, keeping revenue coming in for little changes like that, because the expectation for merchants and brands at this point is that they can do those things. Like, they don't need a developer. Like, there's so many systems that just let them create those things. So it should be true, and it can be true. You just got to do it correctly in commerce. And so we're trying to solve this thing where all you need is one at right for the majority of sites, all you need is like one product type in craft commerce, which to me shouldn't even say product types. It should just be like catalog, or like, some other separator if you need to separate some inventory lists or whatever. But it's not based on type. It's just based on possibly inventory location, or what's digital, what's not, like any of that stuff. So if you have literal stores, treat your product types as your different stores, and any of that stuff. So anyways, so if I'm selling a couch or if I'm selling a t-shirt, that should all live in one product type. And we should have one field on the variants, maybe two, but let's move with one field on the variant for your couch, for your t-shirt, that is the same field. And that is just basically this open field that's dynamic, that can handle a product option like color and the value. So you have the name and the value. And so each variant should be able to just kind of have it, and you just fill in name and value, name and value, name and value, whatever it is, right? The bonus would then be to have some meta information on what is name. So that name, okay, it's couch colors for this particular brand, and we want to display it as a color swatch or icon things on the front end, right? There might be some other meta information about that thing, so it can be reusable. But at the minimum version, no, you don't need it, right? At the best version, yeah, it's great to have some extra information. And on the value, so like say you have blue, to have like some hex color for that, like how it's going to display on the front end, if it's a color swatch, things like that, right? So all of that, I think, should just be native, and maybe Brandon, Luke, Nathaniel, everybody else at Craft are working on that. That would be wonderful. But in the meantime, we kind of got to do it our own way. So there is a Craft native way of doing this, but I think I want you all to use our method. And the reason I want you to use our method is because I think it'll be better for experiences, for merchants, for brands, because we want to elevate the experience with craft commerce, because we use it. So we want it to get a good name. And so if you use our method, I'm pretty convinced it'll get a better name. Not that it has like a horrible name, but it's a pain point, right? So, but it's an unnecessary pain point. And so do it our way, and we'll all be happy. Your merchants will be happy, and they'll be like, oh, wow, you built this way. Great. That's what I expected. So, anyways, I'm going to show you the way that you can do it in the craft default way, but I don't think this is the way. So I think we're going to still build a plugin, and we're going to modify our variant manager so that it achieves this in a plug and play way. So like just plug in the same reason why we use SEO-matic, and you might use another SEO plugin. You can do all the stuff that SEO-matic does with craft native things. You can create your own fields. You can layer in all that stuff. You can put in globals, whatever you want to do. You can manage all that. You can put in your logic for fallbacks, for defaults, for Twitter, right? All that doesn't matter. You can do all that. Part of the benefit of SEO-matic is, one, is you don't have to keep redoing it. But even if you have a template, you do it once in your own, you could pop it in, or you create your own module. You can do it that way, but you don't. Some of you do, but we don't, because not only just because of the whole value of like how it's been written, and it's just, it's got a lot of stuff in it, and you're not going to fill all that in, but it's also the fact that it's just easier to install it sometimes and go from there. And you have a dev team or dev person behind the scenes who you trust to kind of keep it going. So we're going to build a plugin, but I'm going to show you, we're going to build a plugin to replace a native way of doing that, so that we think that there's a higher, I'm hoping that you'll adopt this method, adopt this way of working in craft commerce, and that will just hopefully make it easier for you, and for us, clearly, by just having a plugin that kind of manages this. So I'm going to show you this. I'm not trying to delay this, I just keep talking. I'm going to show you the way that you can do this in a craft native way. And I actually talked about this in one of my previous .all talks. I just showed like how to make I don't remember the title, I apologize, but it was a .all talk where I shared how to do all this in like detail. But here's the quick version, and I want to explain this concept of like being able to have one product type. So let me just share my screen, and we're going to go off to the run-in, off to the races. That's what I want to say. All right, cool. So I've got a store. I've got no products in here. I've got nothing. I'm clean slate. Here we go. I'm going to dive in and get going. So I've got one product type. It's catalog, right? That's all I am right there. Got my title of my product. I'm going to pop it in. I'm going to say it's my awesome FT table. Cool. I'm going to jump over to variants real quick. So you come in here and you've just got basic information, right? One thing we're working on is this idea of, just using a table, and that's where our current kind of plugin is going. So you could say like, all right, color of the table is white, and the wood type is walnut. It's a white walnut table, right? You can come in, add a variant. You could do a similar thing, right? Color, blue, and wood type, let's say, is also walnut. So on and so forth. You could do stuff like this. So this is one way we've been kind of playing with it, is like, all right, you can type in stuff here, you can manage it. There's it's prone to error, but it also doesn't have that metadata, at least, like, or we could find a way to do metadata around this of like, okay, if you see a group named color, then, here's data related to that. And it just kind of does like a text search or, string search or something on that. So you could do that. And this is something that we're kind of playing with, something like this. But here's the other default way that we've done things as well. Is here's this field that we've called unique combination of attribute options, and it's an entries field. So you got related entries, and there's a channel of attribute options that you can add things to. So let me go and show you this. So if we go in here, and let's say, so I want to get an oak table. Cool. And this one is a walnut table. Cool. I can have those two this way, right? What's interesting about this is then we have it related to, kind of dive in. I'll skip that. I'm going to skip that part. But essentially is let's say we want to add the color then here too. So, all right, cool. Let's do color. So, I want, what is it? It's going to be white on table color white. I'm going to put this, I'm going to put white. So that's the front end. Yeah, let's add it as the single color swatch. What we're going to do there, let's just say white. I'm just popping information at this point. All right, cool. So that one's white there. Let's say this one's also white, right? Why isn't that showing? I think I might have to, hold on. Couldn't save. Oh, I got to enter a bunch of stuff. Of course I do. 3, 2, 1, 4, 4, 4. All right. Let's go in here. All right, cool. So it's the white one. Great. So now what I've got in here, I've got wood type, oak, white, walnut, white, right? So you can imagine then, if I go and create another product, I could do the same thing for a t-shirt. I could have it in here and I can have different attribute sets. I could either use this type of thing or this type of thing, and create the different options and the groups that they'll show up as, right? So that's essentially the concept that we're pushing for. So you could easily, we could edit this. So we have a display. This is internal use, which is the typical title. So we could even have it to where it's like, okay, this is wood type walnuts. So it's more clear, right? And it could be the FC brand table, right? So let's go there. So it's just obvious from there at that point. So wood type, there we go. Cool. This one I want to do the same. So wood type was oak, and it's going to be the FC brand. Cool. Got it. Nice. So then it's a little bit easier to see at this point, right? At that point, this is one of the main things we're trying to solve. But again, you could do this natively. So that's the main thing I was going to show you. And so if I come over into entries and we see like these kind of attribute sets here, these attribute options, then you can throw in a whole bunch of them, right? We can throw in all of these attribute options in here. We can throw in this is the high level, I guess. This attribute names, product attribute names is kind of the group. So color, type of wood, type of thing. So that's that high level, and the stuff that it contains in it is going to be one, just a display. You can say how it displays. You can obviously choose your own at that point. Like it's a drop down menu, it's text buttons, it's a single swatch. There's also a collection of swatches, which is a thing, but we can ignore that. You can have a description, customer instructions, that some that displays on the front end below, like, hey, if you pick this color, blah, 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 does this or that. You could also clearly have another group, right? You have all this stuff. So that is your high level of, so you can have metadata on your product options. Then you get into the specific values, right, that I've already shown. So I have these values, they clearly then relate to that attribute group and name here. And then if it's like a single swatch, so it has a color, then you would add your hex color there. If it's a material, you can add an image, and then if it shows like that image that way, so you have like extra fields in here that do that. The thing is, I just don't think you're going to do this. Setting up channels and sections and all this stuff and to go this route. I just don't think it's going to happen. So this is kind of what I want to build a plugin for, is to take all of this and have it pre-built too, so that you don't have to name things a different way. So it's kind of, there's some pre-built kind of elements to this where even we can have a default way of fetching things from GraphQL, and just kind of just make this whole process easier. And the thing that we had been doing before that we're going to remove then is, here, I'll stop sharing. The thing that we're going to remove then is this idea of kind of an importer, because you can do that in FeedMe. FeedMe, you can import products and attach the variants to it, and stuff. The only thing is you can't do it with FeedMe is just update the variants. So like you have to update the whole product if you're going to update variants, and so you have to like override and delete variants. So there's something that's a little off about that. And I know my example I was using Craft 3, because that's just how the site we had it built in from there. But anyways, so that's another piece for us to think through, is just, but that's something we're gonna do separately, is like that whole variant management aspect. So I think at this point, we're kind of more thinking about how to store the data, what field type does it go in, where does that data live? We can use FeedMe to populate it, so we don't have to create some separate importer in there. And then maybe down the road, we could have this idea of like generating these attribute options. So like all of a sudden you have your table, and you're like, you know what, now we have a yellow table. So we need to create that option in there. In FeedMe, that's what I was saying, like that's not easy. Or you have to like, maybe you have to delete them, but then you miss your if you already sold products according to that, like if you want to keep some history on some of these things, like, it just becomes a little bit messy. So you just want to add those 2 new variants to the product. You could do it manually, add in there and just select the things you want to do depending on the method you have it. Or if there's a way to manage that of like add now, the combinations where yellow is in there. So that would be something that would be really nice to have as well, as just kind of some view of that. But I think that's going to take a bigger effort, because it's probably going to require like dropping that variant matrix kind of view, and giving some other view where like things are a little bit more condensed from there. But now I'm going a little off track. But we just want everyone to use one product type at this for at least per store, and one field for managing attribute data. So you can have any type of product, manage it that way. And so we want to create a plugin that at least does that, works with FeedMe so you can't import from that, works with GraphQL so you can get that data out, and it allows you to have metadata both on the group, the attribute name, so like color, and the attribute value like blue. And that's where we're going to start. And so we kind of have to start all over a little bit, because what we've done, we actually focused more on the importing process and kind of this generating of all the variants, but in a table format. And so I think we got to revisit all that, and we're going to go from there. So let me know if that sounds interesting to you. Clearly, because we're building it for you right there. So yeah, that's our thought. We think that this is how it should be done. So we're going to try to make it this way, so it's easy for you to adopt this way of working with Craft Commerce. As always, if you kind of are interested in how we're thinking about things, what we're building, sign up to our newsletter, so you can check out the links probably near you, probably the thing that led you here. So go sign up, follow us on YouTube, subscribe over there, and we'll send you the next update. If you are subscribed to our newsletter, we'll put you in a raffle for winning one of our Foster Commerce t-shirts. And I think that's about it. So I'm going to go join everybody at the pool.